Making headlines tonight, Barbados intends to pay its dues to the Caribbean Development Fund. The Prime Minister gives more details on the Order of the Freedom of Barbados. Regional beauties are seeking to influence policy. And coming up in sports, Day 1 honors are shared between QC and Foundation in the BCA Under-15 final.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
Hi, I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. Barbados owes the CARICOM Development Fund $7.2 million, and Prime Minister Mia Amor-Mottley has made it clear that the country will be honoring its commitment to the regional fund. The Prime Minister made this pledge during the 8th meeting of the CARICOM Development Fund's contributors and development partners.
Even though Barbados committed to replenish the second cycle of the CARICOM Development Fund, Prime Minister Mia Amor-Mottley says the previous administration never sought to honor its obligations. With arrears of more than $7 million, Prime Minister Mottley has pledged to make amends.
Barbados will honor its obligations before the end of this second cycle, in spite of being in an IMF program, because fundamentally, our future is inextricably linked to a successful CARICOM single market and single economy. It's not an easy task, and we're working with the fund now to determine how best we can settle those arrears which we've inherited.
Prime Minister Mottley was delivering the featured address during the fund's 8th meeting of contributors and development partners at the Accra Beach Hotel. She says the fund, which was established to assist less developed CARICOM member states, which may have been at a disadvantage when the CSME is fully implemented, currently hovers around $100 million. In the meantime, $49 billion in domestic savings sit in commercial banks in the region, earning a rate of return of around 0.1%. The Prime Minister is therefore calling for CARICOM to issue growth and resilience bonds to allow individuals and companies to help fund regional projects.
For if we are able to attract even just 5% of the savings within the region, then we are in the vicinity of $2.5 billion, which is 25 times the amount that this CARICOM Development Fund now currently has responsibility for. The notion of the average citizen in the region being able to play that definable difference in the funding of this region's development is what must be embraced, and embraced with vigor.
Prime Minister Mottley hopes that a proposal for changing the articles of the fund to allow this involvement by the people of the region can be presented when Barbados hosts regional heads of government for an intersessional meeting in February. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Prime Minister Mia Amor-Mottley has given more details about a set of locally grown honors that will be bestowed at both the national and parish levels. Now, she outlined them as the House discussed several pieces of legislation today. Lisa Broom has been following the day's proceedings and joins us live now. Lisa, I recall the Prime Minister first mentioning one of them, the new Order of Freedom of Barbados, a few weeks ago. She said it would be the highest of the national honors. Now, give us an update. What else did she say today?
That's right, Shane. She first made the announcement during the ceremony to honor the mighty Griner. And today, the Prime Minister introduced the Order of Freedom of Barbados Bill 2019 to support the accolade, which will be on the same level of the Knight or Dame of St. Andrew. And non-Barbadians who've served Barbados, the diaspora, or the region will also be recognized through the honorary conferment of an order.
Mr. Speaker, we have come today, therefore, to take responsibility for conferring an order that we believe reflects the image of who we are and what we stand for. The conferment of the order will allow the person to be referred thereafter as the most honorable, and will carry with it the entitlement to wear a decoration with the prescribed insignia of the Order of the Freedom of Barbados, and will also allow the person to use the letters FB after their name on all occasions when the use of letters after a name is customary. A person can choose either to be conferred with the Order of the Freedom of Barbados or the traditional Knight or Dame of St. Andrew.
Well, competition will be launched for the design of the insignia for the Order of the Freedom of Barbados and for the National Hero of Barbados. And at the parish level, people will be recognized through the Pride of Barbados Award, and that's going to be issued during the We Gathering 2020.
Because we believe that we have a duty to salute the contributions of Barbadians wherever they're found. And when you really think about it, there are Barbadians here, and they're probably twice our population living as first and second generation Barbadians overseas, who have added tremendous value to the quality of our life. And I believe that it is only appropriate that we allow their compatriots, whoever they are, to pay homage to them and to be able to decide that these are the people of St. Lucie that we believe should benefit from the Pride of Barbados St. Lucie Award.
Well, the MPs also discussed the data protection bill, which came up for its second reading in the House today. Minister of Small Business, Entrepreneurship and Commerce, Dwight Sutherland, piloted that bill through the House this morning, noting that it addresses concerns raised in a 2016 survey and that it will crack down on the misuse of data while protecting individuals' rights and privacy.
It will govern the collection, use and disclosure of individuals' personal data by organizations in a manner that recognizes both the rights of the individual to protect their personal data and also in a manner that recognizes the need of the organization to collect, use and disclose personal data for the purposes only that a reasonable person will consider appropriate to their circumstances.
Well, Tourism Minister Kerry Simmons is predicting that the new data protection laws will go a long way to solving some of the problems Barbados has experienced with people setting up and doing business here. He said an area like tourism will benefit. For example, at the point of registration, hotels take personal information from guests but could not comfortably assure visitors that information would be safe.
If you're going to have them come in, then you have to be able to adequately satisfy them that the regulatory environment that they must now take for granted at home with regard to their personal information is something that we can virtually duplicate back here. And the Caribbean was in no position to say that we were able to do that. But if you can do that, but other people around the world who you're competing with are able to do it, then they're going to eat your lunch.
And while he supports the bill, the opposition leader had a word of caution for the government. Bishop Joseph Atherley says it shows that Barbados is a good place to do business, but he wants the implementation process to be done gradually.
It's one thing to bring legislation to the chamber and have it pass, to debate it fully, even to expose it to the public for scrutiny before it is brought here. That's good, to be commended. But the implementation of it can cause problems. And one could see that there's significant potential in this particular. It's a radical change in the culture. And one could see, therefore, inherent in that and in the document itself, the potential for a situation where implementation of it could be problematic and challenging.
Well, Shane, that was the meat of what was discussed in Parliament today. Back to you.
Several Miss World delegates from across the region are meeting here in Barbados to discuss the best approaches to help their respective countries meet the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. 2030 has been identified as the deadline for the 17 SDGs, which address global challenges such as poverty, inequality, climate, environmental degradation, prosperity, peace, and justice to be fulfilled. Speaking on the sidelines of her Global Network conference, Miss World Barbados 2018, Ashley Lashley, explained the event is not a talk shop as the proposals will be compiled and submitted to several authorities.
At the end of this conference, our aim is to submit the proposals and what was discussed at the conference to the member states of the United Nations and also to the Prime Minister of Barbados and her designated ministries.
All across the island, Barbadians are well into the swing of the crop over season. Even over at the Supreme Court, staff there are not being left out. Recently, they came together for a crop over lime at the White Park Road complex, complete with food, fun and music. As Registrar Barbara Cook-Allen explains, in addition to celebrating the seasons, the event had an added benefit.
What we're having here, crop over lime, we call it crop over chill. We're doing it with the benefit of the NCF behind us. Bernadette here, our city marshal, brought the idea. We haven't done anything as a family since we came back down. So other states will come down this evening to join us and just celebrating and having fellowship. We haven't done that in over a year.
Checking in with our regional neighbors now, retired Justice of Appeal Claudette Singh has been sworn in as the first female chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission. She says she'll be guided by the Constitution.
Retired Justice Singh's appointment comes as Guyana is over 4 months overdue for elections in keeping with the Constitution. Despite elections being due within 3 months of the December 21st, 2018 no-confidence motion, GCOM is instead embarked on creating a new voters list by house-to-house registration. Justice Singh was appointed following an agreement between President Granger and opposition leader Barry Jagdeo. In an interview following her swearing in, Justice Singh explained that she would carry out her role in accordance with the rule of law.
And they asked me for the sake of the country, and that is why nothing else. My priority would be this. I am endeavoring to have a free, fair, and transparent elections.
Jamaican entrepreneurs are cashing in on the country's creative industry. One initiative from a business called Dancehall Hostel involves teaching tourists how to dance to local music, as we hear from TVJ.
It's all happening in this community, Jacksontown, St. Andrew. Each tourist pays $35 for a session lasting about 1 hour 15 minutes. At today's rate, that's about 4,700 Jamaican dollars per person. The Dancehall Hostel can accommodate up to 40 persons at a time. Mr. Hall highlights that he isn't the only one benefiting from the influx of tourists to the community.
With Dancehall Hostel, one of the main things is that we help to make the community earn as well. So the Kerry around the road will sell our chicken and fries. Princess up the road will sell our ice cream. Marjorie that does our food thing. They are a part of what happens in the community. The guests are able to walk around the road and shop at the liquor store around the road, or they can go across the road to the dancehall deli and get them like a sandwich or them like a food, so the community benefit.
And it's not just Kingston. Mr. Hall recently hosted a dance camp in Montego Bay, St. James, luring 34 visitors from 16 different countries who had come to the parish for Reggae Sumfest.
It's a fantastic setup. Well, there's been mixed reaction to Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley's comments during Emancipation celebrations that Afro-Trinbagonians are not doing as well as expected. The Prime Minister made the comment while speaking at Emancipation celebrations at the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's over the weekend. He suggested the observance be suspended until it has true significance. We have a report from CNC3 TV.
The African people are not doing as well as we expected or as well as we might.
It was this statement by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley that has sparked some debate, and it seems some are in support of Dr. Rowley's position. Chairman of the National Carnival Commission, Winston Gypsy Peters, hopes for a day when people of African descent are truly emancipated. Until then,
I hope that black people don't continue to just celebrate emancipation without being truly emancipated. Else we should ban emancipation until we become emancipated and then celebrate it again.
Speaking to Guardian Media, the Lidjiasu Umawali Emancipation Village at the Queen's Park Savannah, Peters said Afro-trained Burgundians have the same opportunities as any other citizen.
Yes, something is wrong, but we are bringing that on ourselves because nobody is preventing black people from doing the things that other people could do, but it is what black people want to do. You have one thing here and you have something there and you choose that, whatever it is, because when I see most of the crime I see committed, I see in young black people. I mean, let's take for instance your pants. A pants is something that was made to wear on people's waist, right? When you watch half of them young people, they're wearing their pants under the bottom.
But throughout the Emancipation Village, there were mixed views. The village opened over the weekend and offered a display of many aspects of African culture, from the traditional wear, sculptures, food, and entertainment.